So we've been experimenting with a few different types of pages in the past few months to find what types of pages work best when it comes to ranking and getting tons of traffic. So we found a page, or at least I think I found a type of page that we've called a rocket page that ranks like crazy. You don't need to necessarily do AI, you get a human written content, but we've partially used AI, as I'll show you in this video, to make the page. And so far, we've tested it across 6 websites. It's doing great. And I'll show you exactly what a rocket page is, how we came across this, how we developed this page, how we published the page, and then how we SEO'd the page, uh, which is at the end of the video, which will not only just help you get the page published, but also get the page ranking ASAP. And as you can see in this video, it's in a matter of weeks that you'll see results from this page. And you can go ahead and take and do this to an existing page, or you can do it to a brand new page. So without further ado, let's jump to the video.
Okay, so rocket pages have been something that me and my team have been experimenting with. We found them to be stupidly simple to create and highly effective when it comes to ranking, especially when you're up against, um, very high DA competitors or competitors that have an established position. Now, these will work in some niches, but this will not work in every niche. We have not extensively tested this, so we can't say that this method of building a page and ranking it will work across every niche out there. My assumption is that if you're ranking for something competitive, you should give it a shot because there's an opportunity here to rank and outdo your competitors. So we'll go through and walk through. We'll start with walking through what we've been able to achieve using this method, and then we'll go over exactly how we went ahead and created these rocket pages, and how well they rank now, and also why they work. So here is the first week after we published our first rocket page. Now, interestingly, the graph looks very similar across the 5 pages that we published. And you can see that there is a peak, then it goes down. When it went down, my assumption was that this would just crash. But in the second week, it goes up again. So, and this uh, pattern of going up and down is ongoing. So now we have seen a third peak, which is higher than this one, but it is not made it to our slide because we need to remove brand words and stuff from that. So, but this is what you can expect. So even if now this was a page, interestingly, this is another fact, is that this page was published some time back in November, didn't get much traction. Then we redid the page into a rocket page. And as you can see, it just shot up like a rocket. The intention of this page is once this has shot up, which it has, we will then attach to it its our other pages, which is the payload of this rocket, which is going to be our landing pages. It's going to be our product pages, service pages. All of those are um, the payload of this so-called rocket page. So this is a closer look at the second week. So you can see 61, almost 62,000 impressions. We have an average position of 9.4 and 269 clicks. Now, you might say, okay, so this is probably a bunch of low effort keywords, but they're not because the impressions are really high. And if it's a low effort keyword, you're not going to get as high impressions. What I am a little bit concerned about is the clicks because this means our click through rate isn't great. We could improve our click through rate, which would improve our clicks tremendously, but that's probably a discussion for another video. The question is, how did we do it? And the answer to that is that we redid the entire page with an emotional twist. And I'll explain to you why that works now a lot better with Google than just producing content. Okay. So the first thing is if you're just producing content uh, without emotion, so Google will just assume that this is some content that's generated with AI and doesn't have a human touch to it. The second thing is that emotional content does a lot better in terms of the time on site. So people spend longer reading more emotional content than they do, that's just top down, button down content. And so you can get more visitors spending a lot longer on your site, clicking on your links to learn more if you add that emotional touch to it. And over time, what that does is that it increases the likelihood of your pages showing up more frequently in SERPs. And eventually you get to the point where you're in the top 3 or 4 of SERPs within a week, 2 weeks, depending on how hard it is. And also the health of your site. So if the health of your site isn't great, your technical SEO isn't great, yeah, the the rocket page isn't going to take off like a rocket. So what we did here, let me go back to, so what we did here is I typed in a search term just to give you guys an example and put in here, is gold worth buying? And you can see there's a summary over here. And this summary over here is from Investopedia. And it says, it's a very buttoned down summary that says gold has served as a hedge against economic uncertainty. We all know that. And Investopedia has a very high DA. They have a very high trust score. And so you're not going to beat Investopedia today. It's going to take some time. But if you go down, the number 2 is Reddit. Okay. And Reddit, there are 3 threads over here that rank from Reddit. And it takes up a great deal of space. They've also got the people also ask, which means that this is primed for an some emotional content, because Reddit is usually, as I'll show you, there's a lot of emotional content, whether it's anger, whether it's being happy, or it's mysterious or whatever it is. So this is something you might want to play around with. So then we study the emotional response of the content. So if you read this, this guy says that, it's not a great investment. It's not a great investment because it depreciates. It doesn't go anywhere. It's hard to sell, whatever it is. And then there's a story here of someone who found gold in their attic, and then they got picked up. How true the story is, I have no idea. But you can see that the emotional response, this entire thread has a great deal of emotional response, which you can take and put into your rocket page. We go next over here and using ChatGPT for extraction. So what I did here is I put in the Reddit URL and I asked ChatGPT, which is, by the way, I'm using the free version here because everyone says that I use the paid version and they have the free. I use the free version here. So I said, I want to extrapolate all the emotional sentences from this thread. And you see it makes a list of all the emotional sentences. And you can see over here, it says, a local man found a gold bar in his mother's attic back in 2016. We talked about it with locals. And then not too long ago, the man and his mother were found dead. Believe it or not, the gold bar disappeared too. So you can see over here, this is an emotional response. It's mysterious, something, a mystery somewhat. And there's another sentence over here. Another user expressed disdain towards certain individuals. Slime bags, they never have any kind of luck. So now this is not this is a complete, because you can prompt ChatGPT to give you more emotional responses, but I'm using this as an example just for this video. So then we asked ChatGPT to generate a list of trigger words that have been extrapolated from Reddit. So I said, also give me a list of trigger words in this. In this means in the Reddit post. It gave me like tragic, so evokes sadness and misfortune, dead, highly emotional, associated with fear and loss, disappeared, suggests mystery. So you have these emotional triggers, and we're going to use this as part of us building the rocket page. And then we extracted the PAAs, and this is a screenshot of the PAAs for this. Now you don't need every PAA under the sun. I will take maybe the first 12 or the first 10 or even the first 5, depending on how many PAAs they are, because after that it just gets repetitive. So you take the PAAs, you put them into ChatGPT, and you ask ChatGPT to change you extract the text from the image, and it makes a list of the text over here. So you say investing in gold is a good idea. Is investing in gold a good idea? Is it worth buying gold at the moment? But you've got all of this over here. So this is all text. I then asked ChatGPT to rewrite the PAAs with the trigger words from earlier. So as you can see, there's a pretty good job. This can be improved, but it's a pretty good job. So is investing in gold a risky idea that could end in loss? So that's a trigger word. Is it worthwhile to buy gold at the moment, or is it a disappointing investment? So one of these you can pick as your heading or as the main title of your article, and then, as I'll show you, write an emotional introduction. The next one is article outline beginning to take shape. So we already have the PAAs listed. Now what I've asked is ChatGPT write me the first 100 words of emotional driven content, personalized response for the first 3 PAAs, and then use the same trigger words and writing style as the Reddit thread. So you can see it does a pretty good job. Now, I didn't do all the PAAs because I wouldn't be able to put this in the presentation, but you get the idea. So you want to have 100-word answer for every emotional PAA with those emotional trigger words within the answer. So this is what we did. We did it for every PAA. I think we did it for like 10 to 12 PAAs that we were working on for our pages. And we just had ChatGPT create the answers for every one of them. And then what we did was we started to fill the article with human content. So we started with an emotional title. So we took one of the PAs, turned it into a title, wrote a 300-word answer that answered that question right away, right off the bat. So in our case, we just said, uh, answered the question and then, followed that up with an emotional secondary answer to build up upon that so that people will read the remainder of the article. And then we listed all the rewritten PAAs with 50 brief answers with a jump link to a detailed answer. So all the PAAs were listed and their answers were below that. They were like 10, 15, 50-word answers. And the reason we did that was because Google picks up these short answers and you make it to the featured snippet. It's also a lot easier because when people go down, they click on and they read the answers. And before you know it, they've read more answers and spend more time on your page. So this is another way to keep them on your page. And then if they want to read more, they just click on the jump link. They're taken down to the detailed answer, which is again, the one we fleshed out that ChatGPT generated. So ChatGPT generated the 100-word answers. You then flesh them out into 200, 250 words of a detailed answer with good product knowledge, with good understanding of the subject to build trust with Google and also add that emotional touch to it. And then the conclusion is probably the most important part of this whole process because you want to keep people on your page. If people click back on your page, that's not a good sign for Google. So what you want to do is you want to lead people to another part of your article. So if you're writing about gold, you also want to write that recently platinum has become the metal of choice, and there are a large number of people that are now investing in platinum. And you might want to check out our article on why platinum is such a great investment and how you can literally double your investment in a few years by putting your money into platinum. So that's an emotional response. So that you can come up with that, and people will just click on that and go and read your article about platinum, keeping them on your page. And so now you know how this works. There are some intricacies to this, which I have not put in this video because it'll make it extensively long. But in a nutshell, this is how we build Rocket Pages. Finally, once the page has been built, we will do a press release. And the reason for that is speeds up indexing. And in our case, it actually helped boost rankings. So once it was published, we gave it a day, 24 hours. The page uh, in our case, the page was already indexed and then we did the press release. But if you see within 24 hours, the page is not indexed, do a press release, and that helps to boost the rankings and visibility of the page. Just make sure that the press release is also an emotional response, has those emotional trigger words in them that will get people to read the press release and click on the link and read the full article. So if you guys like the video, like and subscribe as always, leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in the next video.